Hello, welcome all. I am Sachin, and today we will see the data transfer part of ABDM Milestone 2. First, I will demonstrate the API flow, the API sequence, and after that, we will see the implementation of these APIs. So, let us start. So, in data transfer part, we have total 4 entities that will be participating. First is the HIP, that is Health Information Provider. HIP can be a lab or a HMI software. Then we have the ABDM gateway and the HIU. HIU is Health Information User, that can be a patient or a doctor. So for data transfer, first the HIU will raise a consent request init call to the gateway. That means the HIU is requesting the data to the patient. As we know, in ABDM, all the data will be transferred based on the patient's consent. So first the HIU has to raise a consent request. Then ABDM gateway will send this consent request to the patient. Patient can use their PHR app to approve this consent request. After consent request approval, ABDM will send the HIP notify call to all the HIPs where the patient have linked the records in that particular date range. As you can see, the HIP will first receive the consents slash HIP slash notify call. Many integrators do this mistake. From the HIP implementation side, they are sending the consent slash HIP slash notify call, and this is not correct. You will get error in this API. So first you will raise a consent request from the HIU and approve from the PHR app. Then you will automatically receive this call to your registered webhook URL. Or you can do the pull record from any PHR app. Through the pull record functionality also, the consent request init call will happen from the HIU, and then auto approval functionality of the PHR, the consent will get auto approved, and after approval only you will receive the HIP slash notify call. So after receiving this call, the HIP will check the patient registration if this call is correct or not, and the care context they have the in this call you will receive the care context details. Then you will check the care context are valid or not, and the date range is valid or not, and the consent status also you will receive, that should be granted. After checking all the details, you will send a acknowledgement with this consent slash HIP slash on notify API. So this API call you have to make from your side to the ABDM gateway. After that, we have some HIU calls. So I am not demonstrating these HIU calls in this session because they will be part of M3. So in this call we have fetch API and slash request API. They will be part of M3. So after on notify, you will receive health information slash HIP slash request call on your system. In this HIP slash request call, you will receive the transaction ID and the consent details. Also, you will receive the date range, data push URL, and the key material. So, on this data push URL, you will be sending your data. So, the data push URL is very important. And using this key material that you have received on this HIP slash request call, I will demonstrate these APIs through Postman or the pipe dream. So in this sequence, you will receive the key material. In key material, you will receive nonce and the public key. Using this nonce and public key, you will be encrypting the data. After HIP slash request call, you will send the HIP slash on request call. In on request call, you will send your acknowledgement. After that, you will prepare the data, and then you will send this data to the data push URL that you have received on request call. After sending the data, you will send health information slash notify call that you have shared this data to the HIP. So now let us jump on the implementation part. So for implementation, I have already registered one care context to my ABA address. So for this demonstration, let me first request the I have already registered one care context to my ABA address. So let me do a pull record from the ABA SBX app. You will find this pull record functionality on the linked facility tab. So I am doing the pull request. So let me show you the callbacks that I received from the pull record. Hmm. So I have already linked a care context to my ABA address, as you can see in this API call. Now after clicking the pull record button from my ABA SBX app, you can download the ABA SBX from the Sandbox website if you don't have it. After installing ABA SBX app, you can go to the linked facility tab, and in link facility tab you will find the pull record button. After hitting the pull record button, I have received the HIP notify call. In this HIP notify call, we have the care context details, the consent ID, and the HIP type, HI types, the HIP are patient details, and the date range, and the status that is granted. So after receiving the notify call, you have to send the on notify call. You will send the acknowledgement status OK, and if you don't have the data or something is incorrect, then you can share the error code accordingly. So I have already sent the HIP on notify call. As you can see, according to this flow, we have received the HIP notify call, and after that we have shared the HIP on notify call. After this on notify call, I have received this request call. In this request call, this patient HIU/data/information is the data push URL, as you can see. So you will receive this data push URL according to your HIU. HIU will send this data push URL, and we have date range and the key material. In key material, this is the public key and this is the nonce. You will receive the public key in the key value and nonce in the nonce key. And this is the transaction ID of this sequence. Similarly, you can see you will receive the consent request call. After this consent request calls, you will share the consent on request call. You will pass the transaction ID and the acknowledgement. After on request call, the next step is to prepare the data. So the data should be the now let us see the data preparation part. So as you all know, the data should be in the FIRE format. You can go to this NRCES website to go through the FIRE bundles and the specification of these FIRE bundles. So we have these HI types. You can try any of these HI types. These HI types you will implement according to your use case. So I have opened this prescription record. In this prescription, on the first page, you will find the specification of this bundle. So you can go through this and map the fields accordingly. You will find the examples, sample examples also. I'm clicking this, and after this I will go to the JSON, and as you can see, this is our bundle. So the first step is to creation of the fire bundle. After creation, you will convert this fire bundle in the text format and then you will encrypt it. So first let me show you the data transfer API, what fields you have to implement. So after sending the on request call, you will send the data push API. In data push API, we have transaction ID and the entries field. In this entries field, you will send the content that you have encrypted. And here you will share the care context. And in key material, you will share your own public key, DH public key, and the nonce. Using these keys, HIU will decrypt the data. So let us see how to encrypt this data. So you can use any bundle. I am taking this for an example. After this, I am using this website to convert this into string format. For encryption, you will be using the Fidelius project for encryption. So you can go to this link. This link you can find on the Sandbox website. You can go to this link and download this project. You can, after this, you will find the APIs. Using these API, you can encrypt or decrypt the data. First, you will generate the key material, and after that, you will encrypt the data. So let me show you the APIs first. So this is the API to generate the key material. And for encryption, we have total 5 fields. We have plain text, nonce, sender public key, sender private key, receiver nonce, and receiver public key. The plain text you will be getting after converting the fire bundle into the text. And the sender's nonce is your nonce that you will receive from the generate API. And the sender's public key will be your public key, and sender's private key will be your private key. So this receiver's public key and receiver nonce you will get in request API. Let me show you. In this request API, you will receive this public key and nonce, and you will pass this key into the receiver's nonce and receiver's public key. After hitting this API, you can encrypt the data, and after that you will send this data in the data push API. Here you will paste the encrypted data, and this I have already explained. After the data push API, you will be sending the data push notification API. According to the flow, as you can see, this health information / notify call you have to, and that means you have sent the data successfully. Here you will give the care context and the status as transferred, and the notifier type will be the HIP. In this way, you will be able to see your data on the PHR app. Just make sure the bundle is correct. You might be having some issues with bundles, then you have to correct the bundle first and then encrypt it properly. Thank you.